Thrips are one of those pests that turn up in most regions every year. Some years are worse than others. There's three main species of thrips that we find in cotton. Early season we mainly find onion thrips and western flower thrips. In some years a third species, tomato thrips, is also prevalent, but in most years by far the most abundant is the onion thrips. Once you get into flowering, there's a changeover in the species complex. Thrips tabassi virtually disappears from the crop and you're left with tomato thrips and western flower thrips. And they can be seen in very high numbers, often in the flowers. You'll get the adults coming to feed on pollen in the flowers, and you can still see the larvae feeding on the leaves. Thrips cause three main sorts of damage to cotton plants. The first and the most obvious is the small, gnarled, damaged leaves, and that's due to feeding by the thrips right in the plant terminal. So those baby terminal leaves, the edges of them get fed on, they don't grow properly. The middle bit tries to expand, the edges don't, you end up with this distorted leaf. And those leaves actually have quite significantly reduced area. The second sort of damage is if you turn the leaves over, you'll often see silvering on there. They stick their mouth parts through the surface of the leaf and damage underlying cells. The epidermal cells then die and you end up with a silver layer. In very extreme circumstances where thrips numbers are very high, you'll actually get the thrips feeding in the terminal and causing the terminal to die, and then the plant needs to regrow a new terminal. We've been talking about thrips as a pest of seedling cotton, but in some years they will move into maturing cotton crops. So you'll get preferential damage to those upper younger leaves in the crop, and they'll become stunted and curled up. And there's been questions about whether that sort of damage will actually reduce yield. So we've done a range of experiments where we've gone into crops and actually removed various amounts of leaf area, looked at the consequences. Before cutout, damage can affect yield, but there needs to be quite a bit. After cutout, the plant's actually very resilient, and you'd need a lot of damage before you'd actually get a yield outcome. We've written an article about this which appeared last year in the Cotton Grower, and it goes through and explains all of those results.